we go. That's Phil, like Dr. Phil, except I actually lost weight as opposed to just talking about it. And Mandel, like Howie Mandel, except I have hair. I got a question for you. How long have you been communicating? Anybody? Since you've been alive? All your life. Since birth. Let me ask you this. Has anyone here ever been pregnant? Probably just the ladies. Was there any communication from the womb?
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree that we've been communicating since we were conceived? So there's a lifetime of patterns that we're challenging sometimes when we're talking about changing our communication style. What I'd like to share with you is that research has shown that, and it's pretty obvious if you just think about it, people like people who are like themselves, exactly. So if I talk a mile a minute like the New York Jew that I am, and you're from the South and you kind of talk like this, and I'm just going on, rattle, 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 and there's a story of, I think it was a Northwest Airlines pilot who happened to be from the South, and he called a New York City controller and said, whatever, I'm checking in United 326 for wherever I'm going. And the New York City controller goes, United 326, turn left hand 320, descend and maintain 4,000 feet, report over the intersection. Say again after United. United with all that stuff again. He said, okay, this is United 327. You hear how fast I talk? That's how fast I listen. Rapport is about respect. Treating people like people. I think you all know the golden rule, which is something like treat others as you would like to be treated. Well, I like to be treated a certain way. As I said, I'm from New York. I'm kind of edgy. I want you to just talk to me. Don't sugarcoat anything. I've discovered most people aren't like that. As you know, I specialize in weight loss. If someone had come up to me when I was close to 200 pounds and said, Phil, you look like you need to lose weight, they would have been saving my life. Fortunately, someone eventually did. I discovered I can't say that to other people because it offends them, and I respect that. So I'm going to suggest that we consider the platinum rule, which is treat others as they would like to be treated. I'm not the only person in the world. Not everybody thinks or behaves like me. You behave like you, and the better I can match you, the more respect I'm showing you, and the more chance there is of having rapport. Does that make sense? Thank you. Quick question, why do new managers fail? According to this particular survey, they do not successfully build partnerships and teamwork with their subordinates and peers. The failure of I can't read it from there, of newly promoted managers and executives to build a strong team and at the same time reach out to their colleagues and peers is the biggest reason why so many of them fail. In other words, rapport. All they got to do is what Dr. Forbes was talking about, which is build a relationship with folks. So once we know how, it becomes a lot easier. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how. If you want to learn more, please check out the books that these nice folks helped publish for me, Nuts and Bolts on Business and Getting Things Done. Oh, I don't have time to talk about the car deal, so read the book. It's in Nuts and Bolts. It's a great story about how a used car dealer got $2,000 less out of me for a Pontiac Grand Am because he had no rapport skills at all. So it's an interesting story. So would you agree with this? The quality of our lives depends on the quality of our communication. We're man and woman, of course. We're social beings. We need each other. So the better we're able to communicate, the better all of our lives will be. Has this ever happened to you? You're standing there saying something which you probably either think is brilliant, important, or just interesting, and the other person's like, tilt. Well, it used to happen to me a lot. I am a recovering engineer, as you may know, and so I figured, people, computers, what's the difference? You tell it what to do, and you know how to do it. Well, we don't work that way, and come to find out, either do computers. But here's a thought for you. The meaning of your communication is indicated by the response it elicits regardless of your intention. So no matter what I say to someone, so for example, I'm in the weight loss business. If I say, even remotely suggest to someone that they might want to lose weight, even if they look like this, I can't do that because the response I get is, don't you dare tell me I'm this big. Well, I can see, but I got to respect that. And I've learned to change my behavior and live with that. So, and here's why, because good communicators know the desired outcomes of their communication. It could be content, which is information or action items. It could be process, which is preserving the relationship. But what's the desired outcome? What are you trying to get out of this particular communication or interaction? That's number one. Number two is they use sensory acuity, which I'll tell you about in just a second, to detect how they're doing. How's the other person responding? It's just what we talked about. What's the other person's response as opposed to what did we intend? So they know the desired outcomes in their communication. They use sensory acuity to detect how they're doing. And they're very flexible in their behavior. If I'm trying to communicate with you and your response indicates you're not getting it or I'm rubbing you the wrong way, it's not your fault. I need to change in order to communicate with you better and build better rapport. Does that make sense? Thank you. Basics of rapport. People do business with people they like. People like people who talk and behave like they do. And this is very, very important. Rapport has nothing to do with agreement or disagreement. You can agree to disagree. So you can disagree and still be in rapport. These two people are in rapport, in my opinion. They both look the same. They're each looking away from the other, so they're matching, even though they're not looking at each other. They both have their arms folded. They're agreeing to disagree. They may not be happy, but they're in rapport with each other. Make sense? Yes or no? Yeah, that's a very interesting concept that it took me a while to learn, that rapport, you can be in rapport with someone even though you got a Dem and a Republican, or a, you know, someone's got this God, someone's got this God, or whatever the discussion may be. You can disagree through a chasm and still be in rapport and respect each other's opinions. These two are a little different. They're both seem to be in rapport and happy about it. So in other words, rapport has nothing to do with agreement or disagreement. It says, let's agree to respect each other's views, no matter how wrong yours may be. Once again, good communicators know the desired outcomes in their communication. They use sensory acuity, which is their eyes and ears, to notice how the other person is responding. And they're very flexible in their behavior to help them get across what they're trying to get across. Once again, rapport is about respect, treating people like people. I'm suggesting you please consider the platinum rule: treat people as they would like to be treated instead of just how you happen to want to be treated. And now it's time to get to work. You aren't being paid to believe in the power of your dreams. Are there any questions? We got about a minute left, and I'd be happy to entertain any feedback, questions, thoughts. Anything at all?
Great information.
Good. Thank you for your time and attention.